So moving ahead, we have the next duo coming up. So on the hot seat, I have Mr. Neelesh Kulkarni, who is a management graduate and entrepreneur, theatre and voice artist, cricket commentator, corporate coach, poet and best-selling author. So how much of abilities and skills do you possess? I'm like literally awestruck. Well, please welcome on the stage. And with him, we have Miss Shweta Malhotra on the cool seat, who is an educationist, a poet, a columnist, and the founder of Story Scrapers. So their discussion is about the musings on life. So let's see what all do they unravel about life to us. Yeah, sure.
You can touch it and see if it's hot.
I was wondering. No, it's cooled down the last time. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to sit on it.
Good evening, everyone.
A second before we start. I don't like using microphones too much. So, am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
And this is my low voice, mind you. I can speak still louder.
Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure sitting here in the cool seat and talking to our very own hot seat owner, Neelesh ji. So 10 minutes and Neelesh Kulkarni, it's quite a challenging task, but let's just try it out. So Neelesh sir, we know a lot about you because we see you more in Chandigarh these days than in Delhi, and that really mesmerizes us. You do a lot of things, sir. You are into reading, writing, traveling, and you maintain a very big and nice friend circle as well. So how do you do that? How do you manage to do so many things?
I do them one at a time. And some of them are quite interconnected. I read when I travel and I meet friends when I travel, so all those three can be done at one go. But all the other things that I do that the lady spoke about, Avinash spoke about, they are actually done one by one. I mean, when I'm recording something, I'm obviously not writing. When I'm doing theatre, I'm not recording anything. So they are all these things have been added to my life at various points of time. I mean, things like theatre, things like doing dubbing and voiceovers. These have started at the age of 6, so it's been 62 years now. And things like writing books, doing corporate coaching and all, I started after I turned 60. So there are some things which I've got added on and some things which I have kind of pushed myself into doing. But they've all been added at various points of time in my life. And I quite enjoy every one of them, so I can find time for them.
So when we see you doing so many roles, in which one do we find the real Neelesh Kulkarni?
I don't quite know that. I don't know in which one do I find myself. But in each one of them, you will find all of me. That is probably a better way of looking at it. You know, because they're all interrelated. I mean, I started by doing theatre. Because I did theatre, I could do voiceovers. Because I could do voiceovers, I could do public speaking. And they're all interconnected with each other. So I think each thing that I learned or started with kept adding to me. And then you finally got a product which Chandigarh is finding acceptable.
Yeah.
So what more can you ask for?
So when you do so many things, so which is the thing that is taking the most of your time these days?
It depends on what is the current fashion. So yeah, because when I do theatre, I kept doing theatre all the time. When I was doing dubbings initially, I used to run after studios, try to do as much of it as possible. But right now, I think a major part of my life is taken up by writing. So since it's a recently acquired mistress, I am more enamored of writing than anything else. I think it takes more time than I do anything else.
That's wonderful, sir. So what was it that fascinated you in your life that you chose writing as a profession?
It's not a profession. It's not a profession at all. It's not a profession. Voiceovers are not a profession. Theatre is not a profession. All these things are things which I like doing. And in the process of liking something and doing it because you like it, if you make some money, who's to say no to it?
Definitely.
But I think writing is, I would never consider a profession. Because if I took it as a prime profession, then I would need to write because I wanted money. No, it doesn't work that way. Because then in that case, I'll have to end up writing a lot of things which I don't believe in or which I am not passionate about. Right now, I only write about things which excite me. So that quite means that I will not write for certain amounts of number of years, and I'll suddenly get together and write 3 different kinds of things. You can't base a profession on so much inconsistency. So I think it's not quite a profession as yet. Voiceovers, for instance, give me a lot of money. Doing audiobooks gives me a lot of money. But they are essentially passions. And if something you are passionate about also pays you, like Sone Pe Suhaga.
Wonderful, wonderful, sir. So coming up to writing as your passion. So this new book that is coming up by you, that is completely a different style of writing, a completely different genre. So what is it all about? And what is there in the book that you have inherited from your father? Because very few of us know that Neelesh sir is also a magician. Though we wanted him to do some magic tricks here, but he needed some equipment and some pretty ladies also. So yeah, there are a lot of, but the equipments are not here. So please tell us about the new book, the new project that you are coming up
You know,
with.
she's doing a very clever one. I've got 3 books coming up. So since she doesn't want to me to speak of all 3, she has, nudged me in one particular direction. Well, I'll still speak of all 3 because I know the lady is not yet coming here, so we have a lot of time. Okay, I'm doing. See, most of the people get trapped into doing one kind of book. Devdutt will always write about mythology. Amish will always write fiction, which is based on mythology. People get stuck into one category, one kind of story. I guess that's for commercial reasons because you kind of nurture an audience for which that kind of writing works. So you keep writing that kind of thing. My personal challenge at age 68 was not to be commercially successful, but to try different kinds of things. So I've written my first 2 books on mythology. I have written the next book that is coming out with HarperCollins is a history of All India Radio. So it is an organizational history. What I have written and which is being made into a movie is on a part of the freedom struggle. This is the big book that is coming out in the month of November. Now this is about a group of people, pre-selling it, if you don't mind. This is about a group of boys in Pune and Goa who got together, formed a private militia and threw the Portuguese out of Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Now this is the only armed struggle ever to succeed against any occupying force within the country, against a European force. And this is also the only successful armed struggle against the Portuguese, which has not been highlighted for some reason, and I happened to discover it purely by chance, and I chased the story for 2.5 years and I've made it into a book. I'll get back to the question. Okay, now this, I got into another genre altogether. That is the writing of children's books. Now I have 3 grandchildren, and I thought I'd leave a legacy for them to carry forward and for something for them to enjoy. So the book that is coming out next month is a book of magic tricks for children. And that is something I really enjoyed doing because it took me back to my childhood when I would act as the assistant to my father's when he was performing on stage. And in those cases, I would laugh at the audience because they would think it was magic, but I would know what was going on. So I tried to bridge that gap by writing a book on magic tricks for children. That should come out sometimes in the month of November. As far as you're asking me to perform a trick, I've already performed a trick. I have mesmerized Vivek into believing I'm sufficiently intelligent to be brought here. So what else can you ask for? That's a trick I performed when you had coffee with me last time. So it's workable.
That's wonderful. That's why all the books are bestsellers because you are a magician of words as well.
That way, get that right.
So how does it feel to be famous?
You have to ask Vivek Atre, I have no idea.
So we pass on the question to Vivek sir.
How does it feel to be
How
famous?
does it feel?
I have no idea at all.
I'm sure someone here is famous, so you'll have to ask them before you move on.
Someone who's coming next is going to be famous.
Fair enough, fair enough. And that is the person who will answer this question on my behalf. Yes.
That's great. So we still have some time to go for the rapid fire questions.
You know what? One sec. This is my biggest achievement till date in 68 years of living. I've been able to stick to a time schedule. I've never done that before. Because the moment it was 10 minutes was declared, Shweta called me and said, "Kid sir, aap 10 minutes mein to apna naam batate ho. How are you going to face questions at the end of 10 minutes?" So, it's
So
going to
should
work
we
out.
start?
Certainly. This is
Okay.
rapid fire.
We have time, Avinash, right?
Yes.
Okay. So first question. What word do you have a hard time pronouncing?
Raison d'être. Any word that has a French, Italian, Spanish, African, Chinese, Japanese, Korean origin. I have a tough time pronouncing them. The only words I can pronounce properly are the proper English words. Any other word I have a great deal of problem pronouncing.
Good. So
And
describe.
was that right? Raison d'être. I got
We'll
one
come
right.
back to you
I got
soon
one
for
right.
that. Describe your style in one word.
Grounded.
Okay, great. And we agree to that. One subject you would like to learn more about.
Human psychology, I guess. It's something that you keep learning all the time. Every time you interact with someone, you learn something about human psychology. I've read a lot about psychology. It is a topic which has fascinated me right from my school and college days. But if every time I interact with somebody, I really want to take it forward and try and understand why people do what they do. So I think human psychology is what I'd like to study much more than anything else.
Great. Do you correct the grammar of others?
Do you?
Do you correct the grammar of others?
Because if I correct everybody else's grammar, they correct mine. Who wants to invite trouble?
So I'm safe. So if you have an unlimited supply of one thing, what would it be?
Nothing. Nothing. See, because the moment you have unlimited supply of anything, it loses value. It is only the scarcity that renders value to anything. So if you have an unlimited supply of something, then it doesn't have value. If it doesn't have value, why do you want to have more of it? So I think everything in limited doses is just fine, and one should never have an unlimited supply of absolutely anything. Everything should be in short supply so that you learn to value it, learn to cherish it, and you relish it properly.
Super.
Absolutely. If your life is a story, what would be the title of it?
Say yes to life.
Great.
Very good.
That's wonderful, Neelesh sir. And it was lovely talking to you within that time constraint of 10 minutes. So you did it.
I'm so happy that we have her totally confused. She's quite ready to stand here and glare at people before finishing. And here we are glaring at her saying, please come and take over here.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for all the things that you have shared. I am deeply motivated and inspired by the abundance of skills and knowledge you possess, and definitely will be taking further know-how from you in the time ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Shweta. It was lovely hearing from you about the abundance of things you have on your plate.